Good afternoon, this is Rich Nelson with Allendale covering the wrap-up comments. Today is Monday, February 13th, 2012 here. Of course, outside markets were a big mover for us today. Many people looking at this whole situation in Greece. They were able to pass that austerity bill, in other words, cutting spending, mainly through labor-type cuts. But we've got this going on. That did give the U.S. dollar a 13-point lower trade as far as the last trade. At one point during the day, it was down easily 30 points or so here. But the bottom line is a lower U.S. dollar, a little more confidence in the EU. That is supportive to commodities. Now, don't be surprised, however, if this U.S. dollar issue maybe reverses course next couple of days or so. A lot of these news wires and media are looking at all of the widespread anger among the Greek citizens against this whole spending cut issue here. Over 100,000 people protested here today. In fact, over the weekend, a total of 110 buildings damaged, over 30 stores looted. So quite an amazing situation there. And you may have some people cast doubts on whether these spending cuts will actually be enacted and kept through all the way through the process here. So let's watch this carefully here in the next few weeks. But as far as grains, like we said, a little support from outside markets, a little support from other issues as well. Corn up 7 3/4, beans up 23 to new highs for that March contract for this current uptrend, and wheat up 11 1/4 cents. As far as corn, news actually kind of mild here for the most part. There is some concern maybe about some South American weather. Brazil's trending dry this week. They do have rain scheduled maybe next week to speak of here. So maybe a little dryness may trim some production numbers just a little bit there for corn. We will point out, of course, USDA's baseline numbers. Their early projections on 2012 base estimates did show corn acres up 2 million acres this year, and they did show almost a doubling of ending stocks. So we do have good short-term news, but as far as these baseline numbers, it still is yet one more piece of the puzzle, which is suggesting much larger supplies for 2012. On the soybean then, we do have China's vice president visiting the U.S. here this week, starting Tuesday in Washington, and he'll be in Iowa on Wednesday. He will be signing an agreement to buy some soybeans. The question is how much, and more important to us is whether this will be old crop soybeans, which will be supportive, or if this is just new crop soybeans. Keep in mind for new crop procurement, as Steve George is going to mention on this afternoon's comments, new crop procurement for soybeans is very, very low. So it's guaranteed that they will do some new crop. The question is how much. As far as other supportive news, we do have Brazil. As far as, like I said in the corn comments, Brazil is trending dry. This is an issue which affects bean yields at this time of year. This is good for the short-term picture. We will point out, like the baseline numbers for corn said, baseline numbers for soybeans certainly will show adequate supplies here. For wheat, of course, we do have a little better feelings right now that U.S. Is actually becoming a player on the world wheat market again as far as exports. We did beat out Russia for a cheaper price to deliver to Egypt over the weekend, so this is good. We're getting confirmation now that U.S. wheat is fairly priced compared to competitors. As far as other issues here, some wheat concerns, of course, with the frost that happened, or with the very cold temperatures which happened this weekend in the far northern plains. Those areas do not have snow cover. So we do have some reasons for a small, moderate rebound here today in the grains. On livestock, up $1.32 for cattle. We did see kind of a mixed trade last week, steady to maybe $1 higher, depending on the area you're in, as far as cash cattle trade. More important for us today here are these new export numbers here. In November, beef exports were up 4% over last year. In December, they were up 3%. Over last year. So this is actually very, very good considering December beef production was down 6%. So even though beef production fell sharply in December, we got to point out these are some great export numbers for this type of production we had. Over in the hogs, down 17 cents. We didn't fall too much here today. Just like the news on the beef exports was good, the pork export information was actually pretty darn good. In November, for old data, we exported 24% more pork than the previous year. The new numbers for December, up 23%. So this is still a pretty darn good pace here for exports. And these type of information here, these are kind of mitigating some of the U.S. consumer problems that we're having that we've talked about in previous commentaries here. So as far as news this week, we've got these new baseline numbers that any Allendale representative would be happy to go through with you. They came out today. On Wednesday, we have the Chinese vice president going to buy some soybeans here. or announce some procurement of U.S. soybeans. And next week on Friday and Saturday, we do, of course, have USDA's own Outlook Conference. They call it the Ag Outlook Forum here. So feel free to give us a call here to Allendale, talk about any of these issues lined up, any new crop information as well, or, in fact, just keep in mind in a few weeks, we're going to start our own acreage survey. So feel free to start getting those numbers together for us as well. My name is Rich Nelson. We are Allendale, of course, and we'd be happy to help you with markets, marketing, or trading at any time here, 1-800-262-7538.